as we are about to start. We want to thank and appreciate James Logan High School, Logan Live. Let's give them a round of applause. They are the multimedia folks from high school, and they are doing our recording for this evening. Thank you very much. We also want to invite you again to the pros and cons presentation that the league is supporting and hosting at Niles Discovery Center Church on Niles Boulevard on October 12th. It's a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and we hope not to make it less than 2 hours, but there are 10 state ballot measures and we want to provide as much information as we can. Thank you very much. We're about to begin. Is everyone in their places? Yep. Okay.
Welcome to the Candidates Forum for Union City Mayor. This forum is sponsored as a service to voters by the League of Women Voters of Fremont, Newark, and Union City. I am Anu Natarajan, a member of the League and your moderator for the event. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan, although we do take positions on issues. We study the issues that have potential government solutions and develop consensus amongst our members. Once we have developed a position as an organization, we take action for positive change. However, and this is important to understand, the League never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. This forum is part of the League's voter service function based on our mission to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. So at this point, I'm going to thank you all for being here and also request you to turn off your cell phones, please. And we are going to be recording this event, so we want to make sure that you are not recording the event using your phones. Here are the ground rules for today. Our questions are collected from League members and the audience. And because of the time constraints, we will not be able to get to all of the questions submitted, but we'll try and cover the most frequently asked topics. Each candidate has up to 1.5 minutes to answer each question. Candidates, our volunteer timekeepers here, will help keep track of time. And if you would like for me to repeat a question, please ask, and I'm happy to do that. And again, as both of you already know, you don't have to feel obligated to use your entire 1.5 minutes to answer the questions. So I will vary the order in which I direct the questions to both of you, and it's going to be somewhat easier since we only have 2 candidates here. At the end of the forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. With that, let's meet the candidates today. We have Emily Duncan and Gary Singh. So, thank you for the applause as we begin the program, but I am going to request that you hold your applause till the end so we can get through as many questions as we can with our candidates. The first question goes to Ms. Duncan. If you were to describe Union City to someone who's never visited the city, what would you say?
Thank you, Anu. If I had to describe Union City, I would say it is a little special gem that sits between 2 large cities that has everything you'd want in a city. We have hills, mountains, schools, parks, wonderful people, small downtown areas spread throughout the city. And we have the opportunity for growth because we have a lot of open space. It's a special place that's evolving, that's becoming more transit-oriented, that sits in a place that allows you to get to wherever you work, whether it's north or south, because we're situated in a place where you can get to the Silicon Valley, you can get to San Francisco. It is a wonderful haven to live in. I love it. I've lived in it for 40 years and wouldn't live anywhere else.
Thank you, Mr. Singh.
So Union City is very unique place for me. I moved in 1993 here, and I work on Alvarado and Dyer gas station. And then I opened up my own business in 1996, and I raised my kids here. It's a place where I live, and I'm gonna retire here. It's a unique place where the freeway goes through the city. We can get on either direction to San Jose or toward the state capital. We can go either direction. You know, it's a really unique place where have the hills and industrial areas well situated on the side, and we have our businesses on the side, and it's a great place to raise kids. On top of that, we have the diversity here, which is it meant a lot to me. Thank you.
I'm going to ask the audience to please hold your applause till the end. Thank you. This next question, we start with Mr. Singh. Why are you seeking this office, and what qualifies you to serve as mayor?
Thank you for the question. Well, Union City has made a significant progress in economic growth. There is still more needs to be done to fully realize our potential. As a mayor, I will focus on building a thriving local economy that support both large and small businesses by investing in infrastructure improvement and fostering the entrepreneurship initiative. We can create a business-friendly environment that encourages growth and innovation across the industries. One key area of focus will be attracting more biotech companies to Union City. Biotech is a rapidly growing sector that generate a substantial revenue and provide high-quality jobs. Additionally, I will work on developing more hotels and motels to retail store in Union City, increasing city revenue, which we can reinvest in the community and service and the infrastructure. My goal is to create a balanced approach to economic development where businesses of all sizes thrive and contribute to the city's long-term financial health.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan,
Please repeat the question.
why are you seeking this office, and what qualifies you to serve?
Thank you. So I served as your council member for 12 years, from 2010 to 2022, when I termed out. And prior to that, I served as a Human Relations Commissioner for 3 years. Prior to getting involved with public service, I worked in the technology industry, and I led global teams focused on creating a diverse and inclusive work environment in every one of our business locations around the world. For the past 2 years, since I termed out, I've been very involved with local nonprofit organizations. I currently serve on 3 nonprofit boards: the New Haven School Foundation, the Washington Hospital Healthcare Foundation, the Union City Lions Club, and Centro. And while I was on the board, on the council, I chaired the Economic Development Advisory Team. I led the Youth Violence Prevention Task Force. I led our Community and Police Engagement Task Force. And I've served on several regional committees, including the Alameda County Transportation Commission, Alameda County Stop Waste, the League of California Cities. Also, I'm a problem solver. I'm an experienced leader. I love this city, and I think I'm ready to lead it. Thank you.
The next question will start with you, Ms. Duncan. What are the top 3 issues the city is facing, and how would you approach finding solutions for them?
I think the top 3 issues right now for the city have been covered many times by the previous panel, but I'll repeat them again. I think that public safety is a priority. Every resident that I run into talks to me about some concern they have about cars being broken into, stolen, catalytic converters disappearing. I think public safety is one of our #1 priorities. I think increasing affordable housing is very important. And as we build out our station district, a large percentage of those homes will be affordable housing. And I think we need to ensure that all housing development in the city has a significant component that is affordable. And of course, identifying resources for the unhoused. I know the city's made great progress in this area. They've put together a team, but I think that there's more we can do, and I would make that the third priority.
Mr. Singh?
So my top priority as well is the safety, financial stability, and affordable housing. So as we continue to work on the safety of our citizen, we thrive last 2 years to make a significant changes in our city, such as a fog camera. We installed 28 cameras in Union City. And previous council member, they were talking about the crime here. Yeah, because the crime was reduced due to the cameras, this fog camera, read license plate only. And it made a huge difference in the Union Landing area and some other area. So still a lot more work needs to be done. We need to continue to work on it, but these problems don't go away. So just this month, there are the 3 break-in over on Cambridge Drive where people came from Lemonade, as you know, and they broke the garage door and they got in to break into the car. So that's one of my priority. Secondly, the financial stability is crucial for our city growth and sustainability. I will work to create a balanced budget, increase revenue through the smart economic initiative, and ensure our resources are allocated effectively. We are working with the planning department to rezone some of the warehouses so we can create more jobs, local jobs, more revenue for the city, and affordable housing is already underway, about 831 at the Dakota and 7th Street. So those are the 3 priority. And then the 4th one is the homeless issue. We continue to work on it.
Thank you. The next question, we start with you, Mr. Singh. How would you describe the role of a mayor, and how is that different from that of a council member?
So I think the role of the mayor is the leadership, and the leader can take you either far away or do nothing. And this is what happened last 12 years. We didn't have any progress here. We were continuing to buried in deficit. I came in 2018. There was a $3 million deficit back then, and there is still right now there is no deficit. Right as we speak, we have a surplus right now with about $17 million. So as a leader, first thing I need to fix is our zoning and our industrial area where we can grow more revenue on the warehouses, where I answered some of the question later, but we have to fix our planning department. That's where the revenue come from. So we need to, as a leader, that's one of the priority, and I'm glad we have a great leaders here in this Union City, such as our chief, our city manager, the great people working here. So I'm very confident I can get this thing going if I become a mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
So the role of the mayor. So the role of the mayor is to provide leadership. The role of the mayor is to facilitate a city council that can work together to get things done for the city. And I think the mayor also has a responsibility of representing the city in the city, representing the city outside of the city, and sometimes even internationally. And so I think the role of the city is very important because you have to keep things moving during the council meeting. You've got to keep everyone engaged in the process, and you've got to get everyone committed to solving the problems of the city. Because I think that as council members and leaders, we don't come to this forum to solve our own personal issues. We're here on behalf of the city. And I think that is the role of the mayor, is to get the team working, moving in the right direction, agreeing on what the priorities ought to be. They're not the mayor's priorities. Everyone on the council gets an opportunity to give input, to help put together the strategic plan. The council puts one together every 5 or 6 years. They do that as a team. And once they've done that, they need to work together to accomplish that. And the mayor's role is to facilitate that process, get people engaged, bring the resources in, and make sure that the council is moving the city in the direction we need to go to solve the problems for our residents.
We'll start with Ms. Duncan on this next question. The city's 10-year financial forecast shows a structural deficit each year. Please explain what a structural deficit is and how this impacts the general fund and the reserve forecast.
So a structural deficit, as I understand it, I'm not the finance director, but as I understand it, a structural deficit means that the city's spending exceeds the revenues. And so right now, our city is having a structural deficit because we have more expenses than we have revenue. But we have a little piggy bank. We have our reserves. And so the reserves are there to help us in those times when we're not meeting the current needs. And we have probably, if you look at our financial plan, 3 to 5 years out where we can comfortably continue to move forward using our reserves. But at that point, we're going to hit a really important point in our planning where we have to make a decision, where we might have to cut roles, we have to cut budget. But currently, we have a structural deficit because we're exceeding the expenses that we have. And at some point, our reserves won't be there for us, and we'll have to make those hard decisions. But we currently are in that place.
So right now, we don't have a deficit. We have a reserve, $34 million. And our 20% reserve is $17 million. But we will have a deficit if we sit on our butt, don't do nothing for the next 6 years. That's the given. But if I become a mayor, and I can tell you, we will work hard to tackle this issue. And also we have the major QQ coming in, which is bring $5.2 million. Hopefully it will pass, and it will create a more revenue, and we can streamlining our priorities. So we continue to work on those financial work, and we have growth our city like Union Landing or east side of the BART station, or we have a land over on west side of the town. We can utilize those land to create more revenues for our city. We will not sit and watch this to go the expenditure go high. I'm a small business owner. I know how to control this.
The next question is for you, Mr. Singh. We'll start with you. In your opinion, what innovative policies were included in your housing element update with respect to building affordable housing and addressing homelessness?
Thank you very much. So we already met the requirement for the state last year for 2,300 units. So we satisfied the state with our requirement. I know that this question was asked to the prior to this, the councils. And we continue to work on this minimum affordable housing. I'm sorry. So there's a state requirement that you have to have a 25% in low-income housing. So some of them say, why not build 100%? No, you cannot. You go what the state telling you, because we have a very limited land. So we will continue to work with the affordable housing. The other element of the affordable housing, we have in a pipe already, the Quarry Lake unit. They come in maybe next couple of years or 3 years, there'll be about 500 homes, which is going to be 25% of low-income housing. So we have a land also on the east side of the BART station, which you need to utilize as soon as someone become a mayor to see how can we deal with that to bring that to either the biotech companies or building some retail stores. We have to utilize that land. It's sitting there doing nothing. So we have one of those developer. It's continue to come back, and I think their term is expired right now.
Ms. Duncan?
You'll have to repeat that question again. I'm sorry.
In your opinion, what innovative policies were included in your housing element update with respect to building affordable housing and addressing homelessness?
I think the most exciting part of the element was the fact that it was built in a location where it would connect to BART. In addition to having affordable housing required in all the elements, the units will be built up and we will have some single-family units there also. But the most important thing is it will be a part of a transit corridor. So the people that live in the area on the other side of our BART station, which is called the Station District, will be able to walk across a pathway and be right at BART. And they can go north and they can go south and they can do whatever they need. And that Station District will have parks in it. It will have small businesses in it. It will be a small unit in and of itself on the other side of the city that will bring in a lot of revenue and create a lot of homes for people. And I think once we get that area built out, it's going to be a very exciting part of the city. I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Ms. Duncan, we'll start with you. How should Union City apply the recent Supreme Court decision regarding homelessness?
Well, I think we have to apply the homelessness decision carefully. I think these individuals who are homeless, they're Union City residents, many of them, and they've fallen on hard times. They may be on drugs. They may have mental health problems. And while we can go out and just move people away, I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think what we have to do is find solutions for the unhoused. We have to find temporary residences for them that come with wraparound services so that when we allow them to leave us, that they can move into affordable housing. That's the humane thing to do. And while we see them, and for some people, they're frightened of them, they are our residents. They're our people, and we have to care about them. And we have to figure out how to find homes for them. And while in Union City, we've made some progress, we've hired a team that's focused on meeting with the unhoused, understanding what their issues are, and they've actually reduced the number of unhoused. When we did our point in service count this year, it went down 60%. So we're having fewer, but for the ones that are here, we need to have more than just a street corner for them to live on. And I think that needs to be a priority for us, no matter what the Supreme Court decision said. I think we have to show some humanity and care about the people that are living on the streets in Union City and find a solution for them.
Mr. Singh?
So thank you for the question. So when this Supreme Court decision came out, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we sat with our chief police and the city manager and the attorney, and we talk about how we want to deal with this. It's a very a sensitive issue. You don't want to go out there and start chasing, those individuals out there. So it was very a touchy question what the chief said. Hey, why we need to be very due diligent about this to see there is a lot of out there, they having a mental issue, or if our police department go out there, we understand they are on the Caltrain property and the sidewalk. We cannot just force them. We have to be some way to communicate with them to being nice to them, to find out, to see how we can help them to move on or find the location somewhere else. And where that's exactly what happened last week. We had I think about 15 or 20 individual on Pacific and the Dow Street. And police methodically, I'm so proud of it, they methodically, when they are over and over, like almost a week, and finally clean up everything. It was a complete mess there. So I'm so proud of our police department, which is, they're doing a great job as far as the, tackling this issue.
If the audience members have any questions, please make sure you send them to us here. There's some volunteers with cards and pencils around, so please send us your questions. This next question, we start with you, Mr. Singh. How would you select the vice mayor? Do you agree on the current method?
So this should be a short question. There is no method in the city right now. As long as you get 3 votes, you can get it, appoint the vice mayor.
So did you want to expand on how you would choose the vice mayor?
Well, that's the method we have right now, but maybe we have to revisit and make sure, we get the prioritize with this, see how much experience you have, who qualified to be a vice mayor. It's going to be a different ballgame in the next time coming. So I think we have to bring to the policy committee, see how we want to tackle this issue as a city council members, and then bring it back to the agenda item to see what we can accomplish out of this.
Ms. Duncan?
I was on the city council for 12 years, and there was an established policy of how we picked our vice mayor. And it was something that rotated every year, and it had to do with number of votes that the individuals received in the previous election. And it was fair and it was equitable. So one year it would be mine, and then the next year it would move to the next person, and it would move to the next person. And at some point along the way, some individuals on the council felt like it was their right to choose who got to be the vice mayor. That is not the policy. And if the policy is going to change, I think the council should get together as a team, write a policy, and approve a policy, because we have had a long-standing policy in Union City of the mayor, vice mayor rotating between each council member.
And keep in mind, this is a district election, so it's difficult to do that way. It used to be at large.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. We start with Ms. Duncan on this question. What is your position on recreational cannabis stores locating in residential neighborhoods?
I mentioned there were a lot of questions.
And there were more than one question on that.
So I think that cannabis stores should not locate in residential areas or near schools. And when the cannabis policy in Union City was established, it clearly states that it shouldn't be near residential areas, shouldn't be near schools, and they should be located in isolated areas. It is our policy, and I support it. I was there when it was written, and I think if policy is going to stand for anything, we should honor the policies that we have. Locating near schools in residential areas should not happen.
So I just wanted to go back a little bit. I was interviewed by the Democratic Party about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Ms. Duncan said right out there, they asked this question: do you support or oppose the dispensary? So her answer was yes. I am favored to bring the dispensary to Union City. I just wanted to clarify that. And you can watch the video out there. And I was opposed. And that's one of the reasons, they went against me, because I still stand for my opinion. I've been voting no since 2018. And I will continue to vote no, no matter what happened here. I would not vote yes on this. I can lose election. There's no issue with that, but I will continue to vote no on this. And I don't, whatever has happened in the future, we'll see from there on.
Moving on to the next question. Mr. Singh, we'll start with you, and this is a two-part question. How can public spaces be protected? And how can funding be found for recreational services?
So thank you for your question. We have a very limited land right now as we speak. And we are continuing to work what we have. My personal plan is to work with the Union Landing, the owners. There's like 13 or 16 owners there. So there's some space left there. So we need to have some economic growth there, grow some revenue there on that place. Also, there's a 21 acres on the west side of the town. We need to utilize that place. And there is a Kirk or developer over on Union City Boulevard. They bought the land on Union City Boulevard. So we need to continue to bring those biotech companies to utilize the land what we have. And what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
How can funding be found for recreational services?
So we hired the lobbyists. They are working for us. They brought us $661,000 this year for us to for our system to use. I think police got like $1.4 million individually. So I think we did a great job. One of the council member, Jaime Patino, he brought that, talked to that company and the lobbyist and got them over here. And we're very fortunate. They're going to continue to bring the funding for us to create more jobs here.
Ms. Duncan?
So if I understand the question, it's how are we going to fund recreational space and open space? Is that correct?
No, it's how can public spaces be protected?
Uh,
And the second question is how can funding be found for recreational services?
Well, I think that recreational spaces are built into our city plan. We are not building in any of our parks or any of our open spaces. And I think that as facilities are developed, open spaces are a part of the development in those plans. But I would agree we need to look outside the city for revenue where we can to continue to explore creative ways to bring in more recreational facilities for our youth.
Ms. Duncan, we'll start with you. The Union City Police Department is understaffed because of the structural deficit. What would you suggest we do to enhance and increase the number of police officers we have?
Our police department is understaffed, and I think that we have to do more to increase our revenues so that we can fully staff the police department. We're currently down about 8 officers, and even though we've moved to this new model that aligns with our districts and community policing, we still don't have enough police officers to be fully staffed at all times. And I think bringing in staff, paying staff and developing staff is the key part of what we have to do to address this issue. And as we move forward to solve our structural deficit, as we look for ways to bring in new revenue, which is going to involve bringing in new businesses to help us solve this problem, we're going to have to make staffing our police department a priority.
So first of all, I want to clarify, I think we are very fortunate in Alameda County. We are the most complete staff in policing in Union City. All these cities like Fremont, Hayward, they are short like 100 people. It's a huge shortage out there for the police officer. So we are very fortunate because our police chief and the commanders, they continue to train the youngster and put them on the street, which is it's a great thing. I would say in the future, what we need is the community policing, at least 2 more units, roughly, at least. Those units are very important because there's a continued break in the cars, stealing catalytic converters. In one instant, they drove into the garage on the Cambridge Drive this month alone. I have the case number if someone want. So those things are happening. So the community policing is very, very important. So I will continue to work with the police department to see how we can make more changes to bring more youngsters in.
Did you answer the question? You did, yes. Mr. Singh, we'll start the next question with you. As mayor, how do you plan on working with council members on issues that are difficult and where you may disagree?
This is a great question. Yeah, that's the key for the leadership. That's where the leadership comes. So you need to have your council member together in order to accomplish your goal. Otherwise, you continue to struggle. So I'm one of those guys. It doesn't really matter if a Democrat or Republican. I will go across the aisle to talk to them. And that's a strength, not a weakness, to put the city first. And that's what we need here. We're missing that. This is a huge issue we're facing as a city council member and mayor because lack of communication. Lack of communication, it created a lot of issues. For instance, the vice mayors, the question earlier, that's a lack of communication. So those things should not be happening if you continue to work with your city council member. And I can guarantee you, if I become a mayor, I will continue to work with my city council member and see what the difference are and solve the problems. Thank you.
Ms. Duncan?
I think that the council has to work as a team. And when the council comes together, the priorities for the council are to solve the problems in the community. And it's not about the individual personalities of the council members. And we all have unique differences in our personality and occasionally may disagree. But I think the thing that will align the council and get them working together is to come up with a common set of goals, a common set of priorities, where everyone has the opportunity to agree, number one, on what they are. And once we're in agreement, then we have to come up with solutions that work for the city. It's not about any one of us individually, the mayor or a council member. We sit here in these roles to solve the problems of Union City residents. And anyone who has raised their hand and taken the oath to sit here as a council member needs to make that commitment that once we identify and agree on what the priorities are for our city, we will work together to solve them and to move forward, to make the city a better place to work and not get caught up in personalities and individual concerns. That's not the role of the city council.
Ms. Duncan, the next question is for you. We start with you. How important to you is community involvement and service-based projects for electeds?
I can't speak for every elected, but I can speak for myself. Being involved in the community is very important. I think I mentioned in my opening statement that I'm very involved with 4 nonprofit organizations. And I think being involved with the community helps you stay connected to the community, what the needs are, where the opportunities are, and how we as a council can begin to solve those issues. And everyone serves in different ways. The way that I choose to serve my nonprofits may not be the way that every council member serves, but I truly believe that in order to stay connected to the residents and to the community, being involved in the community is critical.
So talk about the involvement with the community. So when pandemic came in March 2020, And there was a huge buzz in the city. People cannot go out, they cannot buy the food. So I talked to my colleagues and asked them, hey, what can we do here to help these senior citizens? So we opened up the food drive. And back then we were serving twice a week, the lunch, the grocery. We even have the drive-through. They come in, open the trunk, put the grocery in there, give them a sandwich. They're on their way, and we continue to do that. Also, I'm involved with the Centro, where I have those individuals come in and don't have no jobs, have kids. They can't go any place. I help them to get on their feet. You know, if there's a minor repair, I do that for them to get them on their feet. And if there's battery needed, I put a battery in there to get them on they're having a kids and get them on their feet. And I continue to work with that. I also member of the Daily Bowl, and I maintain their vehicle there, you know, last 5 years. I have a great community involvement. I continue to involve with the community, any charity, any event, I attend it. I help those individuals any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Singh, we'll start with you on this. As mayor, what would you do to address the climate crisis and work on getting people to be aware of what the issues are?
So I think first of all, I will do to hold we have a so-called a new model of community policing model, where each district has their commanders to hold their coffee with the police, and those kind of meetings. So we continue to have a dialogue. This is very important to have a community dialogue. This is a huge. Since we're doing this for the last 2 or 3 years, a lot less complaint. It used to be a lot of complaint about the police or other matters. But right now, since we engage with the community, it's a lot of problems. Even me going to door, asking people what their concerns are, they feel better. They feel like somebody heard their voice and they wanted to talk to you. They wanted to tell you what happened. Those are the things I will do to continue to have a dialogue, have a communication with all the citizens in a neighborhood to find out what are their priority, what would they like the council to do for them. And those are things that are very important. I'm a small business owner. If I don't listen to my customer, I'll be running out of business. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Ms. Duncan?
I thought your question was about the climate action plan.
Correct.
Did I hear that correct?
Yes.
So Union City has a climate action plan. And as we update that every year, we bring residents in to talk to us about their issues in the community. And we've prioritized things that we want to do in our community to begin to address those issues, electrifying our buses, electrifying our city vehicles. So we have a plan in place where we're trying to do as much as we can to not use gas where we can, and to electrify and to minimize all of that toxicity that is put in the air. And I think what we need to do as residents is to continue to keep our eye on our climate action plan, to make sure that we're regularly checking in with it to see where we're going, and that we involve our residents in it, because we have people in the community who are very involved. A big part of our plan is bicycle lanes, making sure that individuals can get out of their cars and get to where they need to go. And so that's a big part of our climate action plan. And we need to stay connected to our residents, to what they think will help keep the climate safe and keep Union City safe. So I think we need to update our climate action plan probably more often than we do, but we have a plan and we need to keep our eye on it and implement it.
Ms. Duncan, we'll start the next question with you. Land use issues such as housing, mobility, transportation are not city issues, they're regional. How would you play a regional stewardship role in shepherding some of these issues?
Well, I think it's a key role of the mayor to represent the city at these regional meetings, to be at the table, to understand where there's an opportunity to access funds for transportation or other issues that potentially could benefit the city. But I think it's a very important role to be present in these regional forums where there's an opportunity to make sure that we can benefit and connect to the work that they're doing, because we're a smaller city in the area and we can leverage and benefit from that. And that's a key part of the mayor's role, is to be the voice of our city in those regional forums to make sure we're present, we're talking about our needs, we're building the relationships that will allow us to take advantage of the services that they provide.
So I think it's the mayor's and council's role as well to get it connected with our the assemblywoman or our senator person. We hardly have anyone visited here lately. So we need to continue to have a dialogue with them to see if there is a funding available out there so we can utilize those fundings. I think the mayor's doing a great job with the transportation. I have to give her credit on that. She worked hard on that to bring a lot of information from there. So we need to have a more leverage. So now we've hired a lobbyist. So we hopefully will get a more funding from the federal government and state and Alameda County. So that's what we need to do as a city council member and the mayor work together and bring more revenue to the city.
Mr. Singh, we'll start the next question with you. Over the last few years, the state has mandated a whole lot of legislation around streamlining and land use and housing issues. Where do you stand on the balance between the state's role and local control of land use issues?
I think this is a huge that we cannot give the state a control on the land use issue. And I think that question is swirling around for last, I would say 3 years or 4. We cannot afford, like we have the land over on east side of the BART station where we need to utilize that land. So for instance, this city hall, there is not enough room over here for the police department, library. They all squeeze in one place here. So we need to figure it out to if we can utilize that land on the east side of the BART station. I know city don't have no funding to build that kind of facility, but maybe someday maybe we can have a bond or something to get that thing moving, because you know, this land use is very, very important. I think there's an initiative out there right now about the land use, if I'm not mistaken. So land use is very important for the housing, for the since we don't have a 1% land left in Union City, so we need to work with what we have.
Ms. Duncan?
I think the land use issue is an issue where we have to work in partnership with our regional and county organizations, because they have access to the resources, they have access to funds. I am not supportive of giving them control of what we do in our city, but I do think it's important, once we make our plan, that we work with the regional bodies, the state bodies, and maybe even the United States body to get funding for programs we want in our city. But we can't do it alone. We have to be present at the table. We have to have a plan. We have to be able to communicate our plan, and we have to go out and rally for the resources for our city. And I think that's an important role of the mayor and every council member.
Ms. Duncan, we'll start this with you. What is your understanding of placement of campaign signs? What do you do if you become aware of a misplaced sign? And we had over 3 questions on that.
Well, it's my understanding that campaign signs should be placed on private property with permission of the owner, that you ask the resident if I can place my sign here and you do that. Signs that are placed in the public right-of-way are in violation of our sign policy, and it's my understanding that city staff will pick them up, take them to our corporation yard where they have a nice box that they put excess signs in if they're in places that they shouldn't be. But technically, they should be in private property with the permission of the property owner.
So, yes, I have the same answer. Yeah, it has to be, get it confirmed by the owner and place the sign in the private property, not in the city right away. There's few signs out there. They was hanging in the medians since Saturday, and also was tying up with the one of those 35 miles of speed. This is unacceptable. This is wrong. So I think we all know what the rules are and what we should follow up.
Mr. Singh, we'll start with you. How do you prepare to have a citywide project to meet the demands of an emergency plan for citizens? This is an audience question, so I am not going to be able to explain what this is, but I'll ask you the question again. How do you propose to have a citywide project to meet the demands of an emergency plan for citizens?
I think we have the CERT, a committee over on Central Avenue. They meet so often to talk about the emergency plan. I'm not sure that question is wide enough to elaborate on that question. So the best I can say, we have the CERT that they're working on those emergency plans. And we do have it like our Sikh temple or Lady of the Rosary Church. They are available if there is emergency. Out there, St. Anne Church, they are available for the shelter. If just in case, something happen, those are the places are available for the emergency. That's all I can elaborate on that question.
Ms. Duncan?
So the city does have a disaster plan. They have a disaster planning team. The council and the mayor are a part of that. And in that plan, we do plan for emergencies. And if we haven't done it recently enough for people to remember that it exists, this might be a great opportunity for us to refresh on it. But we do have a disaster plan and a disaster team here in the city. And it's important that our leadership know what the plan is, know how to call the plan together when we need the members, and that we keep it updated. And it would be a good thing for us even to communicate it to our residents, because it sounds like from the question that people may not know that we do have a disaster plan and that we have a disaster planning team. And maybe there's an opportunity for us to put something on the website, invite people into the process, give an update to folks in the community. But we do have a disaster plan, and we need to keep it updated and current and involve our residents in it.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan, the next question is for you. What city services do you believe are essential, especially as it relates to our youth?
I like the answer that was given earlier about transportation. I think for our youth, we need to make sure that they have access to our buses and our communication vehicles so that they can get to school, so that they can get to our wonderful parks. And I also think we need to make sure that we have bicycle lanes available for the youth so that they can also travel around the city safely on our bicycle lanes. And we're currently updating several of them in the city. And I think that that will benefit our youth. But as it relates to getting to school and doing important things that they need to do, I think having access to our public transportation is really important, since we don't have school buses at every location anymore. So I think that would be key.
So yeah, the transportation is the most valuable tool for the youth out there. They have to utilize that to use their Clipper card, or any way they can ride a bus. I think one of the school board trustee touched this before, that we have the bus service now that during the rush hours, So they transfer all the kids up and down on Alvarado Niles. I seen those buses going up and down. I think we didn't have that like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. This has happened, I believe, this year or last year recently, which is a good thing. So we need to more uh, collaborate with the school board trustee to have more services for the kids so they can use the libraries and use the bike lane any way they can to, do their homeworks and stay out of the drug.
This next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Singh. How would you deal with Union City's many different cultural backgrounds?
So, yeah, I mentioned prior to this, diversity is a key thing in Union City. So we have like 8 different countries we celebrate, so-called a sister city. We celebrate every years. We bring all the foods. There's the flags up there. There's not 8 flags yet, but there's a few of them up there. So that's one way to collaborate with the different cultures. Like I'm a Sikh. There is a lot of Muslims, for South Africa, Nigeria. There is different cultures, Korea, Thailand, China, Mexico. There's a whole bunch of countries. We participate once a year, bring all the food and have their cultural dances there. That bring the peace together, and I really like it. We need to explore more, so we're going to continue to do what we can. I'm one of the board member as well.
I think diversity is our strength. It's what makes Union City special. It's a very diverse city. And while we do our sister city celebration once a year, I think there are plenty of opportunities for us to acknowledge and engage with each other throughout the year, because each one of us have different cultural habits, different food desires, and we need to make sure that as a city, that we are able to respond to the rich diversity of all the members of our city all the time, not just during sister cities, although it is a wonderful celebration and everyone should attend, but we should be able to show up and find that our culture and our needs are being met, because there are some cultures that are represented in larger amounts than others. But that doesn't mean that we should relegate any culture to not being important. So I think that it is our strength and we need to leverage it. And we need to make sure that we have a way to reach out and interact with all the different communities in Union City. Make sure that they are engaged with the council and the leadership of the city, because the council may miss something. And if we do, this is an opportunity for the community to talk to the residents, to talk to the council about the needs of the residents in their community. So I think we need to keep an open dialogue, and we need to make sure that as a city, we are leveraging the great diversity that exists here in Union City.
Ms. Duncan, in addition to the commissions that you currently have in Union City, as mayor, what additional commissions would you consider adding?
Well, I don't know that I would add any, but as we've had this conversation, it's become clear to me that there are some that we need to activate, that we need to get more involved, that we need to see more activity going on. And I think that it would be great if we had residents involved actively in all of the committees and projects that we're working on. And I think for the large part, we've done a great job. We've got a great set of commissioners and commissions, and they're interviewed, they're changed regularly. And I think that things like our land use plans, station district, we have committees all the time that we involve people in. And I think that we just need to make sure that we rotate the people that we involve in our committees and our commissions, so that no one set of individuals can make that determination for us. And so that we continue to refresh, renew, bring new perspectives to our committees, and get our community as involved as we can in what's going on in the city. So I don't see anything at this moment that I would change, but I do hear and think about things that we've talked about that I think we could activate and move forward more aggressively with.
So, yeah, I agree with Mr. Ms. Duncan, that we don't need to change anything, but we do need to have more communication with our commissioners. We meet them once a year. My opinion is not enough. We need to have a communication. We need to get like a HRC commission. We need to have them get involved with the community more often. And, planning commission, they are, they own their own bodies. We hardly see them to get involved with the city council member or for that matter. So we need to continue to have a communication with them, and everything's working well on that department.
So this will be our last question before we pivot to our closing statements. Mr. Singh, we'll start with you. Both you and Ms. Duncan have served on city council for many years. What are three things that you're most proud of, three achievements that you're most proud of when on council? Yes.
So I came elected in 2016, and I continue to work. I'm one of those person that can work with anybody. I have a tolerance, so I work, and then I see there was a deficit back then, $3 million. So I talked to one of the city council member in San Leandro named Ben Lee, and I asked him, how can we tackle these issues? And he asked me, hey, you can, audit the city. That's one way to fine tune, to make sure all jobs are up to date. The technology is changing so rapidly. Jobs were good enough last year. It's not good enough this year. So you have to continue to evolve. So with the help of former council member Lauren Alice, I brought to the agenda this item, and I was able to put them on, get the survey done, get the consultant, get the information. 3 years later, we were able to save $4.2 million. That was my first accomplishment. And then secondly, we worked on the tobacco issue. We were able to, all council members worked very hard, not just me, to get through this tobacco. That was the issue coming back and forth for almost 2 years. And we were able to put this to work. And it worked really well. So our youth won't go out there and buy one of those cigarettes. And the third thing is, I worked tirelessly on the business license tax. And that's
you,
my
Mr.
third
Singh.
achievement.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
So as I think of three things that I'm most proud of, the most recent one that comes to mind is our Police and Community Engagement Task Force. For those of you who may or may not remember when we had the George Floyd tragedy, we had a lot of people in the streets marching and saying, defund the police, we don't need them anymore, they're killing people. And I think it was an opportunity for us to bring the community and the police together. And I was tagged at that time by the mayor to lead that task force. And it was an opportunity for us to bring the residents and the police together to talk about what the community felt they were or were not doing, and for the police to hear them say, we could do this better, we need more of this, we need less of that. And out of that Police and Community Task Force came the evolution of what we know of today to be our community policing effort. It's moved out into our districts, but it was the beginning of the police beginning to see themselves as getting back out in the community and reconnecting with our residents. I feel very good about that because it was a difficult time, not only in Union City, but across the world. And earlier in my career, we had an incident where we had youth violence at our high schools. Kids were shooting at each other. I don't know where they got guns at that time, but we also had a similar issue. And I was also asked at that time to work on our youth violence program. And I had the opportunity to pull together a team of people, use the ceasefire model that they had in Boston, and come up with a process that would engage our youth in a way that they would no longer, hopefully, be
Thank you,
engaging
Ms.
in
Duncan.
violence.
We'll now move to closing statements. Each of you has 2 minutes. We'll start with Ms. Duncan.
Thank you, everyone, for your thoughtful questions and discussion, challenges and opportunities. It's always helpful to learn from our community members. My priority, as I've said before, I will say again, are improving our public safety, increasing resources for our unhoused residents, providing more affordable housing, stabilizing our city finances, and be very willing to engage with and hear from the community. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Democratic Party and a broad coalition of community members, elected officials, including our local mayor, Councilmember Scott Sakakahari, neighboring council members, Planned Parenthood, our New Haven School Association, and our Police Officers Association. I've invested myself in the community. The community knows me, they trust me, and I would be very honored to have your support and your vote.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm running for mayor of Union City because I believe in the strength of our community and the impact of collaboration, leadership. The resilience of our residents inspired me, and together I know we can continue driving positive changes for our city. While we have made progress in economic growth, there is more to be done. As a mayor, I will work to build a thriving local economy that supports both large and small businesses by investing in the infrastructure such as a biotech companies. Therefore, I will create more jobs. We can create a robust economy, environment for all, safety and well-being for my top priority. I will collaborate with the law enforcement and community organizations to enhance public safety and address the crime's root causes. This includes investing in the community program, mental health services, ensuring our neighbors are safe and welcoming. Diversity is essential to my vision. Every resident deserves to be evaluated and heard. I will focus on embracing diversity, advocating and affordable housing, improving access to the education and healthcare, creating a civic engagement opportunities. I seek for your support to address our challenges and seize new opportunity, creating a Union City that is prosperous, equitable, and just. Thank you for your time. I look forward to working together, building a future with you. And just last thing I wanted to say that Ms. Duncan says she's a problem solver. And the problem hasn't been solved for the last 12 years. So we need the new leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We still have a couple minutes of announcements. We want to thank both of you for your participation in this forum and for your willingness to run for office and continue to serve the community. So thank you very much. We also want to make sure that all voters know about our vote411.org website. It is a comprehensive, nonpartisan online guide to elections covering federal, state, and local races in California. So please go to vote411.org. You can also get a personalized ballot that lists all the candidates and issues that you will be asked to decide about, along with links to information about each. You can even check your polling location and create a cheat sheet of your choices to take along with you when you vote. We want to thank the audience for your participation and for watching this forum. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so please remind your family and friends to vote no later than November 5th. Thank you.